Ben Yonatan loves to dance. It's his outlet.
As long as I just dance, it just keeps me happy.
But last year, his time in the spotlight started to go dark. Doctors diagnosed him with retinal dystrophy. In the blink of an eye, he lost his sight.
Within a few short months, he went from here to right now. We're about a 4-degree field, which is like looking through a straw.
So your sweeping motion came through here. A typical dancer spots with their eyes, and so much expression and so much of what you do comes straight from the eyes. Okay, beautiful.
So if the average dancer sees this as they move through a routine, Ben can only see this. He's essentially dancing in the dark.
And we had those months in the middle that were really difficult for all of us. But for him, because his world just closed in.
And this is where the story takes a crazy turn. The key to Ben's future lying in none other than his adopted mom, Erin.
Things work out that way. God plans things.
And a master's degree she received decades prior.
What are the chances he'd be adopted into a family with someone who has a professional background in blind rehab? So that years from that adoption date, I was able to be what he needed.
With Ben vowing to keep dancing,
You have to believe in yourself. You don't just quit.
Erin got to thinking.
We were playing with an iPhone, and an iPhone takes the picture and pulls it down. And immediately it was like, oh my goodness, we can use the iPhone to see more field of view. And then we started using the iPad in the same way. Well, then Google Glass came out.
The little screen is within Ben's 4-degree field of view, his own little window to the world.
When I put it on, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I looked everywhere. I could see 7 people just standing there. And I took it off. I could see only one person with one eye.
Check it out. Doctors charted Ben's vision with the naked eye and then with Google Glass. So in effect, he goes from this to this.
To watch the world open for this kid. The minute he started dancing, it's like freedom emerged.
I didn't feel that small little space anymore. I'm like smiling whenever I put it on.
Ben's mom says she's made countless calls about their ballet breakthrough with Google Glass. And get this.
I don't know anyone else in the world doing it. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Doctors have told Ben the future of his vision is still uncertain.
We will take day by day, use what we have, and do as much as we can. And don't give up.
The way he sees it, you may spot with your eyes, but you dance from your heart.
First pitch of the new season is weeks away, but the ballpark is already buzzing with the sounds of construction.
We're building a deck for the Growler Stadium, so they got more room for having more people out here and have more fun.
Robert Piper and a handful of other builders with Miller Davis are helping build one of 2 new decks in left field, a project that will add to the popular party zone.
We just didn't have enough seats, so this year we're adding a 225-person expansion deck, a new deck. It's Kalamazoo Mortgage Fan Deck, built by Capstone Home Improvement and Lowe's, and this is going to improve sight lines, again add 225 seats, and just really make an exciting new area at the park.
Another seating area the Growlers are expanding this season is their home plate club, but if you want one of these tables with that view, you're going to have to act fast. There are only about 2 tables left for each game.
They got to get here quick or they can call into the office, but the tables are $225, but that includes 4 seats and a very exclusive menu. Our executive chef cooks a 3-course meal each night.
New on-field seating areas have been added to the Bear Cave and the party zone, and even the cheap seats, they come with improvements like new surround sound to ensure all fans can hear every play.
We should have everything done a couple of days before opening day, so we'll be ready to go.
How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, it's always nervous. It's a little stressful. You know, construction is fun. It always comes down to the deadline.
The Growlers are hoping all of these improvements will help fulfill the classic baseball prophecy. If you build it, they will come back.
We had our company picnic out here last year.
Very cool. What did you think of the experience?
It was real nice. I liked it. It was a family-oriented place, and everybody had fun.
And what do you think about the improvements you guys are doing out here?
I think it's going to help out a lot.
Got another 2x?
Hey, Kate. Yeah, it's been nearly 7 months since Sergeant Philip Roach was struck by the mallet heard around the country. And after our story broke, lawmakers and some of the Army's top brass reached out to offer support to the young sergeant. He has since decided he wants to stay with the Army and with his company, a big reason being he doesn't want any soldiers going home in a box over stupidity. Fort Bragg just before dawn. To the 21st century, this is Sparta. Covering 160,000 acres, it's home to 60,000 soldiers, including the 82nd Airborne. And right now, it's ground zero for what some see as a very big problem. Have you ever experienced hazing in your 23 years?
I've had in the past one that I can remember.
Captain Douglas Ray says the modern military simply won't stand for it.
The level of education of the soldier, the individual that joins the Army is higher than it's ever been. The level of training they receive at the initial entry level is greater than it's ever been.
Yet the stigma persists. When there are suicides, when there are trials over hazing, the public is going to see that and think maybe that this is obviously a problem in the Army. Case in point, 19-year-old Private Danny Chen. He shot himself in the head while in Afghanistan last October. The military says it followed weeks of hazing.
They're aberrations, in my opinion, and they're unfortunate. And anybody who engages in any kind of hazing, we're going to find them and we're going to punish them.
At the end of March, Congress held hearings to figure out how to do exactly that.
Those engaging in hazing do not act with the Marine Corps' blessing.
But just days after the public spectacle, behind closed doors in Fort Bragg's Bravo Company, this happened. Doctors say Sergeant Philip Roach likely suffered cardiac arrest when the blow to the chest caused a condition called commotio cordis. It's rare and typically fatal. Do you draw any conclusions from that? Do you take anything away from that?
I'm very lucky to be alive from it, because I've talked about it, I've heard about it. You know, it's one of those rare occurrences that can happen, and I was one of the few that actually made through it.
The Department of the Army says it was an unauthorized ceremony, a rite of passage, and a clear incident of hazing, following Philip Roach's promotion to sergeant.
Well, the last thing I remember is touching the table and then waking up in the hospital.
When you woke up, who was the first person that described to you what happened?
My fiance.
Roach's fiance says the moments following the end of this video were terrifying. However, she declined to go on camera or give us any first-hand account. What did she tell you?
She said I passed out and started seizing.
How long have you heard it took for the people that were around you to react and say, we've got to get him medical attention?
From what I heard, it took some time. Someone finally was like, hey, we got to do something about this. Maybe 20 minutes, I would say. 20 minutes? That's what you've heard? You were on the ground for 20 minutes before somebody said, all right, we've got to get somebody. Yes, sir.
Did it seem, again from the stories that you've heard, when you hit the ground, did the other soldiers that were in that room worry more about themselves getting in trouble than about your health and safety?
I would say they were scared, so they were looking out for themselves.
Now, Sergeant Roach still has not been cleared to go back to his Army career as a drone pilot. Meanwhile, the man who struck him, Sergeant First Class Stephen Carpenter, is still in the Army and has maintained his rank. Tonight, live at 11, we'll ask the Army how it can justify that decision when it claims to have zero tolerance for hazing. For now, I'm Jared Worksman reporting for News Channel 3, and when we come back, we'll hear more from Keith Thompson.
This wasn't just Yankees-Red Sox. This wasn't just another baseball game, although the standings would indicate otherwise. This was a celebration of our native son, Derek Sanderson Jeter. Game day is always a party in Boston.
Thank you, Jeter!
But this party felt very different. A send-off, a salute, a day of mixed emotions. Is this happy? Is this sad? What is this today?
It's happy. It's happy. He decided when he wanted to leave. He could still play more baseball. He could still play another 5 years if he wanted to.
It's kind of heartbreaking for me because I've been a huge Derek Jeter fan for years and years. So it's really sad that this is the end of an era.
To put this in Michigan terms, think Kaline, Sanders, Yzerman, an athlete who not only did it well, but did it right.
Erik's been a part of our lives for 20 years. Jeter was like one of the first words out of his mouth, so it's really a long time with Derek, so we had to come and say goodbye.
He's the guy. He's the guy of my generation of the last 30 years who deserves, to me, a farewell tour.
The Sox sent Derek off with a marvelous tribute. Now remember, this is one of the most intense rivalries in sports, but Sunday it was about respect.
We've been an enemy for a long, long time, and for them to flip the script this last time coming here, it made me feel extremely proud and happy that I was a part of this rivalry.
Such big rivals, so much history between the teams, but you would have thought that it was one team in a sense today, and I don't know how many players can do that.
The Red Sox really doing a nice job today with that tribute. After the game, Derek was asked how it felt to take that uniform off for the final time. He said happy. He's at peace with this decision, and he says he's ready for the next phase of his life. At Fenway Park in Boston, I'm Ed Kingersky, News Channel 3.
Right now, police in Kalamazoo are in a standoff with a stabbing suspect accused of attacking several people. News Channel 3's Jessica Wheeler's been on scene outside the Canterbury House Apartments for more than an hour and a half now, watching this unfold. Jessica, what's the latest?
Well, Kirk, we do know that that suspect is inside one of the apartments here at the Canterbury House apartment complex, refusing to come out. At this point, he's claiming he has a hostage, but officers are still trying to confirm that. We've been watching more and more officers coming to the scene. You can see it's still very much an active situation here. Some officers gathered outside of the building. Those just arrived here. We've been watching them come on scene, getting their SWAT gear out of the backs of their cars and rushing up to this apartment complex. I spoke with somebody who lives here. He tells me the entire back half of this building where the standoff is going on is surrounded by police tape. Again, this is the Canterbury House Apartments. We're at the very end of Green Meadows Drive, which intersects with Drake Road. In fact, these are the apartments that back right up to 131. They're visible from the highway. We've been here since about 4:30 this morning. When we got here, a KDPS officer that was working the perimeter of the scene ran up to us, told us to be careful because they had a stabbing suspect on the loose. He had stabbed multiple people, and they told us the scene wasn't secure, to be careful. So we stayed back fairly far for quite some time until we saw all of the officers converge on this one building here, and we have been able to confirm that the suspect is inside one of these apartments. We do have right now, if we want to come out on live, not sure if we're still live, one of the mobile SWAT vehicles just pulling up on scene here. Of course, they bring this out when they think they could have a long situation here, when they're dealing with someone who is holed up inside of a building with a possible hostage situation. More officers you can see here with their SWAT gear on, with rifles in hand, their helmets on, their bulletproof vests on as well, preparing for this standoff. They told me they're not sure at this point if they do have a hostage inside. We did watch them about 5 o'clock this morning run out 2 children from the building. I have been able to confirm that those 2 children were inside of the apartment along with that suspect. We also can see on the back of one of the jackets here from one of the officers that just arrived on scene that they are a police negotiator brought in to negotiate with this stabbing suspect that is holed up inside of an apartment here at Canterbury House Apartments. They're shining a spotlight now on one of those buildings. Someone who lives in the building told me they looked like they were centered on one of the ground floor apartments in the back corner of this building. We, of course, are waiting for more confirmation. I'm told the sheriff is on his way here. Of course, as soon as we get here, or as soon as he gets here, we'll talk to him, try to get some more information. But for now, we know this is a standoff here at Canterbury House Apartments with a possible hostage. We know there are stabbing victims. We saw one get taken from the scene. We do not know their condition at this time. Of course, we're going to be here throughout the morning as this unfolds. We'll continue to keep you updated. Reporting live in Kalamazoo, Jessica Wheeler, News Channel 3.